Movies always showed the guys in Hawaii. If you remember, Bing Crosby and them was always had girls and stuff, and how they loved the soldiers and sailors. So that's where we wanted to go. Boy, was that a lie.
In 1941, Hawaii was the center of American peacetime naval operations and considered one of the best assignments for sailor and officer alike.
Well, it turned out to not be what the movie said. Them people hated soldiers and sailors, even had signs in the window, no soldiers, sailors, or dogs allowed. But then the next day after they attacked, then it says, soldiers and sailors welcome.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
Because I think I was one of the first guys those dang shot at. I felt like I was the first one because they really hadn't started attacking yet, and this plane come by. I believe it had 3 seats. It had a little guy in the back, had looked like a Bren gun, a round thing on top for shells, and he saw us at the window. We said, that plane's got a big old red spot on his side. We just stood there looking at him. The guy in the back saw us and he swung that gun around. We hit the floor and he fired. His fire now armor piercing too, because they went through the locker, 2 sets of locker, and the locker's on the other side even. I took Bertie and showed her, because after the war they didn't patch a hole, they painted them. And so I took her there, and sure enough, there's where 2 bullets hit and made a little hole. And I told Bertie I was in the bunk right past that, where it's forbidden now. I don't know what's in there. But we was playing a game, and he says, big casino, whatever. I think that was a 10 of diamonds. He said, big casino, and boom, the building shook. It's almost like he did it. And that was, I guess, the first bomb that they had dropped off. We had no idea what was happening. The crazy thing was, before it happened, we think somebody knew it was going to happen, because once we went out and set up one of them old World War I Army machine guns and strung some barbed wire, and we didn't know how. We got scratched and stuff. But we finally got it set up, but they wouldn't let us shoot it anyway. And we made sandbags around it, and then they called that in, and then they did what was smart. They dispersed every airplane with a little old tractor. But you hook it on the tail, drag the plane by its tail, and you drag it into a revetment, they call it. It's a big dirt like this, and you drag him in there and unhook, and they have to hit him from in front to really hit him. So each plane was in a revetment, and that was ideal. That corporal says, hey, Wright, you and, what the hell's the name of that kid I like? He's from Virginia. And he says, you and him run over there and get some gas masks. Them drop gas in Manchuria, and they might drop gas here too. So we took off running. I was right behind him. Westbrook, Bob Westbrook, that was his name. He was my good friend. I was going to go to Virginia because he always bragged about how them brim was such good fishing. He was right in front of me, and a plane come by strafing. You hear them bullets going through that glass. Those windows are glass, but they've got wire in them so they don't shatter. But as we run, I heard them damn bullets singing around. I didn't like it, but you can't do nothing about it. He fell, and that's the first time I had a fresh dead man. I reached down and grabbed him by the shirt to help him up, and normally his shoulders would come up. They folded. It made me have a sick feel in my stomach. His shoulders folded. I guess when you're first dead, everything's loose. And then I looked, the back of his head back here, about big as a nickel, was a hole where that bullet had gone in and come out. And I was right behind him. I must have been down lower because it didn't hit me. We had a bunch of recruits that just came in. They hadn't even been assigned to a unit yet, about 20 or 25 of them. And they didn't know what to do, and they was all shook up, and this corporal says, well, hell, tell them to go lay down on that ball diamond. They're not going to waste bombs on a ball diamond. Them have taken enough pictures of this place that they know there's nothing under that ball diamond. The only thing is, that ball diamond just 2 weeks before that was over here. Bombed, and I think they killed every kid on there. And they couldn't make the gas go off. They wanted to destroy our fuel supply. But their secrets were just that much behind, about a week behind. So we just hugged the ground, and the bastard quit shooting. And the thing that people don't realize, that first flight that came in was 333 Betsies, they called them, twin-engine bombers. And we were dumb enough. We was there in the radio shack, and we knocked the windows out to shoot any plane that went by. We'd shoot at him, but we couldn't hit beans. If it caught fire, we'd say, we got him, we got him. Nobody had no idea. And there was a nut out there standing by the tail of a plane. I was 17, he was got an old tall tail. He had a .45 pistol, and he'd look around, here come that Jap by, he'd pow, 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 pow. And then he'd duck back. We thought he was a nut. Can you imagine the guy doing that? I don't know who he was, but he had a lot of guts. Them made good bombs, that's one thing they did. The thing is, they didn't make good 20 millimeter shells like they do now, because one exploded right beside my head in the air. And I've got this whole side, I've still got 6 or 8 pieces of shrapnel in me. But that didn't do nothing but just make that ear almost stiff again.
I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
So ended our peace and our years between the wars.